The morning sun rose over the wheat fields of Harmony Colony. John Carter stood on his porch and breathed in the fresh air. 3 years had passed since he left Earth's military. 3 years of peace. 3 years of trying to forget the things he had seen and done. His hands no longer shook when he poured his morning coffee. That was progress. The nightmares came less often now. The colony had been good for him. John's comm unit buzzed. Carol Miller, the colony's chief engineer, appeared on the small screen. Her face looked worried. "John, we're picking up something strange at the edge of our system. Multiple objects coming out of jump space. Too many to be a supply ship." John felt a familiar tightness in his chest. "Have you contacted Earth?" "Trying now, but there's interference. Whatever these ships are, they're blocking our long-range signals. I'll be right there." John grabbed his old military jacket from the hook by the door. He hadn't worn it in 3 years. It still fit. The colony's command center was small, just a single room with outdated equipment. Harmony was a farming colony, not a military outpost. They had one defensive satellite and a handful of small weapons. Nothing that could stop a real attack. Carol stood at the main console with Eric Simmons, a young farmer whose fields bordered John's. Eric's face was pale. "Look at this," Carol said, pointing to the screen. 12 ships, maybe more behind them. Not Earth ships, not anyone's ships that we know. John studied the strange angular vessels approaching Harmony. His military training kicked in. Those are warships. Front 3 are destroyers based on their size and formation. The rest look like transports and support vessels. Eric's voice shook. "Why would anyone attack us? We're just farmers." "Send the distress signal," John ordered. "Full bandwidth. Include visual of those ships." Carol typed quickly. "Signal sent, but I don't know if it got through. The interference is getting worse." The comm screen suddenly flickered to life. The face that appeared wasn't human. Gray skin stretched tight over a narrow skull. Eyes too large and too dark. When it spoke, its mouth moved wrong, like the muscles, worked differently. "Humans of Harmony Colony. I am Commander Vexthar of the Dravek Imperium. Your world is now under our protection. Do not resist and you will be treated with mercy." John had never heard of the Dravek Imperium. In his 15 years of military service, Earth had made contact with 12 alien species. None looked like this. "Cut the transmission," John said. Carol did. "What defenses do we have ready?" "Just the satellite. It's not much, but it might. Slow them down. Activate it. Then get everyone to the emergency shelters." The colony's alarm began to sound. People would be confused, scared. The 5,000 colonists of Harmony had never faced danger like this. Outside, the morning sky turned red as the first Dravek ship entered the atmosphere. It was huge, blocking the sun. Smaller ships followed, breaking off toward different parts of the colony. The defensive satellite fired. A flash of light, and one of the smaller ships wobbled in the air. Not destroyed, but damaged. A small victory. Then, the Dravek ships returned fire. The command center shook. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They hit the power station," Carol said, checking the monitors. "We're on backup power now. Another hit. Closer this time." The window cracked from the force. "We need to go," John said. "Now." They ran outside. The colony was in chaos. People running, carrying children and whatever possessions they could grab. The wheat fields that had given John so much peace were now burning. Black smoke filled the air. Eric pointed to the sky. "Look." The satellite was gone, just debris falling through the atmosphere like shooting stars. They reached the main shelter just as another blast hit nearby. The ground shook. People fell. A woman screamed as her child was nearly crushed in the rush. "Inside! Everyone inside!" John shouted, helping people through the doors. His military voice came back easily. People listened and moved faster. Carol worked the shelter's controls, sealing sections as they filled. "We can fit everyone if we have to, food and water for 2 weeks." Eric stood at the entrance, looking back at the burning colony. "My family's farm is that way. I need to find them." John grabbed his arm. "It's too dangerous." They're my family. Eric pulled away and ran. John started after him but stopped as a Drevik ship flew low overhead. Too dangerous. Too many people needed him here. Inside the shelter, John found Carol at the communication station. Any luck getting a message out? She shook her head. They've taken down all our comm arrays, but I sent the distress signal before that happened. If we're lucky, Earth received it. Earth is 3 weeks away at best, John said quietly. Another blast closer than before. The shelter lights flickered. Through a small window, John watched as the first Drevik ground troops appeared. They wore dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons were unlike anything he had seen before. They moved from building to building, not destroying, but searching. Taking things. Taking people. They're not just attacking, John realized. They're harvesting. Hours passed. The shelter grew hot and crowded. Children cried. Adults whispered. Everyone jumped at each new explosion. Carol worked frantically to restore communications. If I can just get one message out. The shelter door suddenly burst open. Eric stumbled in, covered in blood and dirt. His eyes were wild. They're gone, he said. My whole family, our house, everything. John helped him to a seat. What did you see out there? They're taking people, loading them onto ships. The ones who fight back, they don't take those ones. A heavy thud sounded on the roof of the shelter. Then another. Methodical. Searching. They're looking for the entrance, Carol whispered. John moved to the weapons locker and pulled out the colony's pitiful defense, a few stun guns and old-style projectile weapons. He handed them out to anyone who looked capable. When they come through that door, we fight, he said. We may not win, but we show them humans don't surrender easily. The thuds stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then the ceiling began to glow red. The metal was melting. They're cutting through, Carol said. John raised his weapon as the first drop of molten metal fell to the floor. He thought of Earth, so far away. He thought of the peaceful morning that now felt like a lifetime ago. The ceiling gave way, and the Drevik poured in. The battle for Harmony Colony had begun. And 3 weeks away, a distress signal was racing toward Earth, carrying images of strange ships and desperate pleas for help. Earth would answer. But would they be in time? The message from Harmony Colony arrived at Earth Central Command 3 weeks after the attack. It came in broken pieces, fragments of data traveling across the vast emptiness of space. Lieutenant Greg Peters worked for hours to put it back together, his eyes growing more tired with each passing minute. I've almost got it, Admiral, he said, not looking up from his screen. Admiral Susan Ford stood behind him, arms crossed. She was new to her position as commander of Earth's 4th Fleet, only 6 months on the job. This would be her first real test. Play it, she ordered when Greg finally nodded. The screen flickered to life. The image was grainy, distorted. A man's face appeared, fear in his eyes. This is Harmony Colony. We are under attack by unknown forces. They call themselves the Drevik Imperium. Our defenses have failed. They are taking people. Please send help. Please. The message cut off. Static filled the screen. Then new images appeared. Strange ships with angular designs, gray-skinned aliens in dark armor, buildings burning, people running. The command center was silent. 20 officers watched without speaking. They had all seen war before, but not like this. Not against civilians. Admiral Ford's voice was cold when she finally spoke. Lieutenant Peters, get me everything we have on this Drevik Imperium. Greg typed quickly. Not much in our database, Admiral. They operate at the edge of known space. Reports suggest they've attacked other species too. Small colonies mostly. Places without strong defenses. Predators. Someone muttered. Worse, said Captain Alan Russell of the battleship USS Defiant. They're smart predators. They choose targets that can't fight back. Places too far from help. Admiral Ford studied the star charts. Harmony was 3 weeks away at standard speed, far beyond what Earth normally considered its protection zone. The politicians would argue against intervention. Too far. Not our problem. Diplomatic risks. She didn't care. Captain Russell, prepare the Defiant for immediate departure. You'll lead the strike force. She turned to the room. I want the 4th Fleet ready to jump in 6 hours. The officers stared at her. 6 hours to prepare a fleet was impossible. Standard procedure required. Days, sometimes weeks. 6 hours, she repeated. We'll use the new jump drives. The room erupted in surprised voices. The new jump technology was experimental. Untested on this scale, it could cut the journey to Harmony from weeks to days, but the risks were enormous. Admiral, Captain Russell said carefully, those drives haven't been approved for full fleet use. They are now. She pointed to the screen, still showing images from Harmony. Those are our people. I'm not leaving them with those monsters for 3 more weeks while we follow procedure. No one argued further. 6 hours later, Earth's 4th Fleet prepared to depart. 12 warships formed the core of the fleet, led by the massive USS Defiant. Supply ships and medical vessels followed. And something else, something the rest of the galaxy didn't know about. 3 stealth destroyers with technology Earth had kept hidden for years. Admiral Ford addressed the fleet from the bridge of her flagship. What we're about to do hasn't been done before. We're jumping farther than any human fleet in history. When we arrive, we'll be facing an enemy we know little about. But we know one thing. They attacked our people. They thought distance would protect them from consequences. They were wrong. The jump drives engaged. Space bent around the fleet. The stars blurred. And Earth's vengeance was on its way. 4 days later, at the edge of the Harmony system, a Dravek patrol ship drifted lazily through space. Inside, Commander Zilv was bored. Guard duty was beneath him. The human colony was already secured, its people processed, its resources being extracted. There was no danger here. The ship's sensors suddenly screamed with alerts. Zilv jumped to his feet. What is happening? He demanded. His sensor officer looked confused. Multiple jump signatures, Commander. Many ships. But that's impossible. No, one can jump directly into a star system like this. Space tore open before them. A massive ship emerged from the jump point, followed by another and another. Zilv stared in horror as Earth's fleet appeared where no fleet should be able to go. Warn the colony, he shouted. Tell them. He never finished his sentence. A single shot from one of Earth's stealth destroyers vaporized the patrol ship. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Captain Russell watched the enemy ship disappear from his screens. Patrol ship destroyed, sir. They didn't get a message out. Good, Russell said. I want complete surprise when we reach Harmony. The fleet moved through the system at full speed. No stealth now, no hiding. Earth wanted the Dravek to see them. Coming. To feel the fear their victims had felt. As they approached Harmony, their sensors showed the full extent of the situation. 5 large Dravek ships orbited the planet. The colony below was transformed. Mining equipment covered the once beautiful fields. Processing facilities stood where homes had been. Life signs? Captain Russell asked. Many Dravek on the surface, sir. Human life signs detected too. Approximately 2,000. Less than half the colony's original population. Russell's hands tightened on his chair. 2,000 survivors. Where are the rest? Sir, we're detecting a large transport ship preparing to leave the planet. Human life signs aboard. They appear to be cargo. The captain's voice was steady when he gave the order. Target the Dravek ships in orbit, all. Weapons. Fire when ready. Earth's fleet opened fire as one. The Dravek were caught completely by surprise. Their ships were powerful, but they weren't ready for battle. The first 2 exploded almost immediately. The third managed to raise shields, but they collapsed under the combined fire of 3 Earth destroyers. On the planet below, Dravek Commander Vexthar watched in disbelief as his orbital support disappeared from his screens. This was impossible. Humans were a peaceful species. Their military was defensive only. Everyone knew this. The communication system crackled. A human voice spoke in perfect Dravek language. Dravek forces on Harmony. This is Captain Alan Russell of Earth's 4th Fleet. You attacked our colony. You took our people. Now we have come for them. Vexthar rushed to respond. We claim this world, by right of conquest. Leave now and we will not pursue you. The human's laugh was cold. You misunderstand the situation. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to show you the same mercy you showed our people. The first Earth ships entered the atmosphere. Not small, fighters, but massive warships that should not be able to function in gravity. Another thing the Dravek had not known humans could do. As the ships descended toward the colony, the Dravek soldiers prepared for battle. Their weapons were ready. Their positions secure, they never stood a chance. The ground shook as Earth ships landed around the colony. Special Forces teams led by Lieutenant Commander Kelly Johnson were the first to exit. Their black armor absorbed light, making them nearly invisible in the shadows. Their weapons hummed, with power that the Dravek had never seen before. Kelly had trained her teams for years for a moment like this. They moved silently through the ruins of Harmony, their helmet sensors picking up both human and alien life signs. Team 1, head for the holding pens, she ordered. Team 2 with me. We're going for the command center. The soldiers moved like ghosts. The first Dravek patrol never knew what hit them. 6 aliens fell silently. Their weapons never fired. Inside what had once been the colony's main hall, Kelly found what she was looking for. A makeshift prison held dozens of humans. Among them was a man she recognized from the distress signal, John. Carter, Earth sent you? He asked in disbelief when she removed her helmet. We got your message, Kelly said, cutting through his restraints. Can you fight? John rubbed his wrists and nodded. Just give me a weapon. Kelly handed him a spare, energy pistol. We need to know where they're keeping the rest of the colonists. John's face darkened. Most are in the processing center. They're preparing them for transport off-world. Some already left before you arrived. Not all of them, Kelly said. We stopped a transport ship in orbit. Our medical teams are helping them now. Outside, the battle was surprisingly one-sided. The Dravek had superior numbers, but Earth's forces had technology and training that shocked the aliens. Energy shields deflected Dravek weapons. Earth guns cut through alien armor like it was paper. In the colony's engineering section, Carol Miller heard the fighting. For 3 weeks, she had been forced to work for the Dravek, maintaining equipment and helping them understand human technology. They had kept her alive because she was useful. Now, she saw her chance. When the guards ran to join the fight, Carol slipped into the control room. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Let's see how you like this, she whispered as she activated the colony's irrigation systems. Water flooded the grounds where Dravek troops were positioned. Then she sent a surge of electricity through the system. Dozens of Dravek soldiers fell, their armor conducting the current perfectly. Carol allowed herself a small smile before continuing her sabotage. In another part of the colony, Eric Simmons guided a group of Earth soldiers through the back paths he knew well. The main Dravek force is here, he said, pointing to a map. But there's a weak spot in their line here behind the old storage units. The Earth soldier nodded. How do you know their position so well? Eric's eyes were cold. They thought I was helping them. After they killed my family, I pretended to cooperate. I've been watching them, learning their patterns. That was brave, the soldier said. That was survival, Eric replied. Now it's time for payback. In orbit, Captain Russell directed the space battle from the USS Defiant. The last Dravek ships were trying to flee, but Earth vessels cut off their escape routes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Dravek command ship, his communications officer reported. The alien face that appeared on screen was the same one that had demanded Harmony's surrender weeks ago. Commander Vexthar looked much less confident now. Human vessel, he said. We offer terms. Allow us to withdraw, and we will release all remaining prisoners. Russell's voice was calm. We're already freeing our people. Your terms are rejected. This is not your territory, Vexthar argued. The colony was beyond your protection zone. We had every right. You had no right, Russell cut him off. And you made a fatal mistake. You thought distance would protect you from Earth's justice. You thought we were weak because we chose peace. The Dravek commander's large eyes widened as Earth ships surrounded his vessel. You never asked why we chose peace, Russell continued. You never wondered what we might be capable of if provoked. On the planet's surface, the battle was turning into a rout. Dravik soldiers were surrendering in large numbers, throwing down their weapons as Earth forces advanced. Kelly's team reached the processing center where they found hundreds of colonists in various states of health. Some were injured, some were drugged. All needed help. "Get medical teams down here now," Kelly ordered. John Carter moved through the rows of his fellow colonists, helping where he could. He found Carol Miller, treating a young woman's wounds. "You're alive," he said in relief. Carol nodded. "And causing trouble. You?" "Same." He looked around at the Earth soldiers efficiently securing the area. "I didn't think they would come. We're so far from home." "Distance doesn't matter," Carol said. "Not to Earth. Not anymore." In the colony's former command center, now the Dravik headquarters, Commander Vexisthar's lieutenants were destroying records when Team 2 breached the door. The fight was brief and decisive. Kelly secured the alien computer systems, downloading everything. "Intelligence will want to see all of this," she said, "especially the data on other attacks." Her second-in-command nodded. "Looks like Harmony wasn't their first target. They've hit colonies belonging to at least 3 other species." "Not anymore," Kelly said firmly. By nightfall, the colony was secure. Earth medical ships landed to treat the wounded. Engineers began repairing critical systems. Security teams processed Dravik prisoners. Admiral Ford arrived on the surface to see the situation firsthand. Captain Russell walked with her through the ruins of what had once been a peaceful farming community. "Casualty report?" she asked. "Minimal. On our side," Russell replied. "We caught them completely by surprise. Of the original colonists, we've recovered about 2,200 alive. Approximately 800 were killed during the initial attack or died in captivity." Ford's face hardened. "And the Dravik transport ships that got away before we arrived? We have their jump signatures and probable destinations. The 7th Fleet is already moving to intercept." They stopped at a makeshift memorial the colonists had created for their dead. Eric Simmons stood there, placing a small token on the pile. "Are you in charge?" he asked when he noticed them. Admiral Ford nodded. "Admiral Susan Ford, Earth Fleet." "Thank you for coming," Eric said simply. "But what happens now?" "They'll come back when you leave." Ford put a hand on his shoulder. "We're not leaving, Mr. Simmons. Harmony will have a permanent Earth military presence from now on, and we're upgrading your defenses." Eric looked surprised. "But this colony is outside Earth's defense perimeter." "Not anymore," Ford said. The perimeter just got bigger. As night fell over Harmony Colony, Earth ships glowed in the darkness, a beacon and a warning that would be visible across half the sector. The message was clear. Earth protects its own, no matter the distance, no matter the cost. And those who harm the defenseless would face Earth's fleet without mercy. 1 week after the liberation of Harmony, the colony was changing. Earth ships filled the sky. Construction crews worked day and night to rebuild homes and farms. But they also built something new, a defense station that would protect the colony from future attacks. John Carter watched from the hill where his house once stood. The Dravik had destroyed it during their occupation. Now, Earth engineers were helping him rebuild, making it stronger than before. "Quite a view," Admiral Ford said, joining him on the hill. John nodded. "Never thought I'd see so many military ships here. Came to Harmony to get away from all that." "And yet, you were the first to fight when they came," Ford observed. "Didn't have much choice." John looked at the half-built walls of his new home. "Will they come back? The Dravik?" "Not here," Ford said confidently. "But we've learned they control a significant territory beyond our previous maps. They've been attacking vulnerable colonies from multiple species for years." John wasn't surprised. The Dravik guards had boasted about their conquests, never expecting their prisoners would one day be free to share this information. Down in the colony center, Carol Miller worked with Earth technicians to install new power systems. The colony would soon have energy shields similar to those on Earth's major cities. technology that humanity had kept hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Why hide all this? Carol asked the lead engineer. If everyone knew what Earth could do, maybe the Dravik wouldn't have attacked us. The engineer connected 2 power cables before answering. Politics. Some species find our technology threatening. Earth's government decided it was better to appear less advanced. Keep the peace. Until now, Carol said. Until now, the engineer agreed. In the makeshift military headquarters, Captain Russell studied the data retrieved from the Dravik computers. Lieutenant Commander Kelly Johnson stood beside him, her Special Forces team still securing outlying areas of the colony. Look at this, Russell said, pointing to a star map. Their territory is 3 times what we thought. And these marks? All colonies they've raided in the past 5 years. Kelly counted the marks. 27 attacks, not just humans. Kaltians, Vasiri, even some Metheran outposts. All species that keep their military forces centralized, Russell noted. All colonies too far for quick help. Smart strategy, Kelly admitted. Until now. The door opened and Eric Simmons entered carrying a datapad. Since the liberation, he had been helping identify Dravik collaborators among the colonists. There were few, most had cooperated only to survive. Captain, I found something you should see, Eric said. During my time pretending to help them, I mapped their communication protocols. They sent regular updates to their homeworld. I think I can track the signal back to its origin. Russell took the pad, eyes widening as he reviewed the data. This is excellent work, Mr. Simmons. With this, we might find their central command. Eric's expression was grim. They took hundreds of our people before you arrived. If we can find where they went, we will, Russell promised. That afternoon, Admiral Ford called a meeting with colony leaders and military commanders. The colony's main hall had been repaired enough to serve as a meeting space. We've confirmed that 3 Dravik transport ships left Harmony before our arrival, Ford began. Based on the data we've recovered, we believe they were heading to a processing station in the Keldor system. John Carter leaned forward. What kind of processing station? No one wanted to say it aloud. The Dravik records had been clear. Humans were being prepared for labor camps, scientific experiments, or worse. The 7th Fleet has changed course to intercept, Ford continued. But the Dravik have a significant presence in that system. It will be a difficult operation. Carol Miller spoke up. What about the other species the Dravik have attacked? Have you contacted them? Ford nodded. As of yesterday, we've established communication with Kaltian and Vasiri representatives. They were surprised to learn of our military capabilities. Surprised is an understatement, Captain Russell added. The Vasiri ambassador nearly fell out of his chair when we showed him footage of our fleet in action. Are they going to help? Eric asked. They're considering their options, Ford said diplomatically. Everyone understood what that meant. The other species were watching carefully, unsure if Earth was a potential ally or a new threat. The meeting continued with plans for colony defense and reconstruction. When it ended, John found himself walking with Admiral Ford back toward the landing pads where her shuttle waited. You're heading to the Keldor system, John said. It wasn't a question. Ford nodded. The Defiant leaves in 2 hours. I want to go with you. Ford stopped walking. Mr. Carter, you're a civilian now. I was a major in Earth Special Forces before I retired, John replied. And those are my people on those transport ships. I know how the Dravik think now. I can help. Ford studied him for a moment. We leave in 2 hours. Don't be late. On the other side of the colony, Carol was making a similar request to Captain Russell. They used me to understand human technology, she explained. I learned about their systems, too. Their power grids, their communications, things that could be useful if you're attacking a Dravik station. Russell didn't need much convincing. Report to the Defiant engineering section. Eric Simmons found Kelly as she prepared her teams for departure. I'm coming too, he said simply. Kelly shook her head. This isn't your fight anymore, Mr. Simmons. You've done enough. My wife and daughter were on one of those transport ships, Eric said. his voice breaking slightly. So yes, it is my fight. Kelly recognized the look in his eyes. The same look her soldiers had. We have a spare seat on Shuttle 2. Be there in 90 minutes. As the sun began to set on Harmony Colony, Earth ships prepared for departure. The USS Defiant would lead the assault force to the Keldor system. Their mission: rescue the captured colonists and show the Dravik that nowhere in space was beyond Earth's reach. On the bridge of the Defiant, Admiral Ford looked at the tactical display. The Keldor system was well defended. The Dravik would be expecting them this time. The element of surprise was gone, but something else had replaced it: fear. The Dravik now knew what humans were capable of. They had seen Earth's technology, Earth's determination, and soon they would learn an important lesson that many before them had discovered too late. Those who harm humans don't just face soldiers or ships or weapons. They face the full fury of a species that has mastered the art of war while praying for peace. The Defiant rose from Harmony's surface, its engines glowing blue in the darkening sky. The hunt for the Dravik had begun. The Keldor system looked peaceful from a distance. 3 planets orbited a yellow star with asteroid belts between them. But the USS Defiant's sensors showed the truth: a massive Dravik station hidden on the dark side of the second planet, and at least 30 warships patrolling the system. They're waiting for us, Captain Russell said, studying the tactical display on the Defiant's bridge. Admiral Ford nodded. Good. I want them watching our main fleet. She turned to Lieutenant Commander Kelly Johnson. Is your team ready? Ready and eager, Kelly confirmed. Carter knows the layout of Dravik ships from his time as a prisoner. Miller understands their technology, and Simmons can help identify our people. The plan was daring. While Earth's main fleet engaged the Dravik warships in open battle, 3 stealth ships would slip behind enemy lines. Kelly's team would board the processing station and rescue the human captives. In the shuttle bay, John Carter checked his weapon. The Earth military uniform felt strange after years in farmer's clothes, but his hands remembered the weight of the gun, and his mind remembered the tactics. Just like old times? Carol asked, joining him. She wore a technical specialist's uniform with added armor plates. Hope not, John replied. My old times usually ended with someone dying. Eric Simmons sat nearby looking at a small photo. His wife and daughter smiled back at him from happier days. We'll find them, John promised, though he knew better than to guarantee it. Eric put the photo away. Dead or alive, I need to know. The ship's intercom activated. Admiral Ford's voice filled the shuttle bay. All hands, prepare for jump. Stealth, systems engaged. The Defiant and 2 other stealth destroyers separated from the main fleet. Their hulls shimmered and seemed to fade into the blackness of space. Then they jumped, disappearing completely. The rest of Earth's fleet continued toward the Keldor system at standard speed, making no attempt to hide. On the Dravik command station, Supreme Commander Krex watched the approaching Earth fleet with growing concern. They come directly at us, he said to his officers. No stealth, no deception. They are overconfident, his second-in-command suggested. Their victory at Harmony was luck. Krex was not convinced. In his long military career, he had learned to fear enemies who attacked without fear. It usually meant they knew something you did not. Launch all fighters, he ordered. Move the fleet to intercept. The space around Keldor's second planet filled with Dravik ships. Fighters, destroyers, and cruisers formed a defensive line between the Earth fleet and the processing station. On the main Earth flagship, the acting commander smiled. The Dravik had taken the bait. Every enemy ship was facing them, weapons ready. None were watching their backs. Behind the planet, 3 stealth ships reappeared. The USS Defiant and its companions were less than 10,000 kilometers from the processing station. In space terms, they were practically on top of it. No alarms, Captain Russell reported. They don't see us. Admiral Ford nodded. Launch the strike team. 3 small shuttles left the Defiant's bay, flying silently toward the massive station. Each carried 20 Special Forces soldiers and 1 civilian specialist. John rode with Kelly's team, Carol went with the technical strike force. Eric joined the search and rescue team. The shuttles landed on the outer hull of the station near maintenance airlocks. Engineers cut through the locks without triggering alarms. Then Kelly's team went in first, securing the entry point. "Remember," Kelly told her team, "we have 3 objectives: free the prisoners, gather intelligence, and disable the station. Stay on mission." They moved through the station's corridors like shadows. Their first encounter with Dravek guards was brief and silent. Earth weapons made little noise but deadly results. John led them toward the holding cells, following the layout he remembered from Harmony. The station was much larger, but the design was similar. "This way," he whispered, pointing down a side corridor. They found the first holding area quickly. Inside were hundreds of beings, not just humans. Many alien species were crammed into cells, designed for half their number. "We need to move faster," Kelly decided after seeing the conditions. "Carter, take half the team and continue searching for humans. I'll start evacuating these prisoners." On another level, Carol and the technical team reached the station's main power core. Earth engineers placed explosive charges while Carol hacked into the Dravek computer systems. "I'm downloading everything," she reported over the comm. "Ship, movements, colony locations, command structures. How much time do you need?" her team leader asked. Carol watched the progress bar on her device. 5 more minutes. "You have 3, came the reply. The search and rescue team, with Eric Simmons, methodically checked every holding cell they found. Each time, Eric scanned the faces looking for his family. Each time his hope dimmed a little more. Then they reached a section marked with Dravek symbols for processing complete. "What does that mean?" the team leader asked. Eric's face went pale. "It means we might be too late." They breached the door anyway. Inside, they found humans in strange uniforms, their heads shaved, their eyes vacant. Some had surgical scars. All moved like machines, performing assigned tasks without speaking. Eric moved through the room, looking at each face. Then he stopped. "Sarah?" he whispered, reaching toward a thin woman sorting items on a table. "Sarah, it's me, it's Eric." The woman didn't look up, didn't react, just continued her work. "We need medical for these people," the team leader called over the comm. "They've been conditioned somehow." On the bridge of the Dravek command ship, Supreme Commander Krex received an urgent message. "Intruders in the processing station. Human. Soldiers." Krex turned to look at the Earth fleet still approaching his position. A decoy. He had fallen for the oldest trick in war. "Turn the fleet," he ordered. "Back to the station, now." But it was already too late. Throughout the processing station, alarms finally sounded. Dravek soldiers rushed to defend their position, but Earth forces had secured key areas. The holding cells were open. The power core was rigged to explode. The computer systems were compromised. As Dravek reinforcements finally arrived at the air cell blocks, they found Kelly's team waiting with energy barriers deployed. Behind those barriers, hundreds of prisoners were being evacuated to the Earth shuttles. John Carter held one position with just 3 soldiers, their weapons cutting down wave after wave of Dravek attackers. "We can't hold much longer," one of his teammates warned. "We only need to hold until the last shuttle is away," John replied calmly. On the medical evacuation shuttle, Eric sat beside his wife's stretcher. She still didn't recognize him. The medical officer couldn't promise she ever would. Their daughter hadn't been found. "We have to go," the pilot called back. "Station's about to blow." The last shuttles pulled away from the doomed station as Earth's main fleet engaged the returning Dravek ships. Space lit up with weapon fire. On the Defiance bridge, Admiral Ford watched the battle unfold. "All shuttles clear," Captain Russell reported. "Charges set to detonate in 30 seconds. Ford nodded. "Signal the fleet. Phase 2 begins now." The processing station exploded in a ball of light that briefly outshone the system's sun. In its death throes, it took out 3 Dravek ships that had come too close. The Dravek fleet, caught between the station explosion and Earth's advancing warships, broke formation. Some ships tried to flee. Others fought desperately. None survived. As Earth ships collected the rescue shuttles and secured the system, Admiral Ford made a ship-wide announcement. Today we have freed over 2,000 prisoners, not just humans but members of many species. We have struck a blow against an enemy who preys on the defenseless, and we have sent a message to any who would follow their example. She paused, looking at the view screen where the remains of the Dravek fleet drifted in space. Earth will protect its own, no matter how far, no matter the cost, and those who target the defenseless will face Earth's fleet without mercy. Throughout human space and far beyond, that message was heard and remembered.